Hey there, have you ever had a neighbor who just loved to make trouble? Like someone who's always pointing fingers or causing a big fuss over nothing? Drop a comment below and tell me where you're watching from today. Oh, and if you love stories where the bad guy gets what's coming to them, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on this one. Okay, let's dive into the story. Picture a super sunny afternoon in a quiet little neighborhood called Sunny Hills. The kind of place where kids zoom around on their bikes, giggling and shouting. Lawns are mowed so neat they look like green carpets. Flowers bloom in every yard and birds chirp like they're putting on a concert. It's the kind of day that feels perfect, like nothing could go wrong. Now meet Jake Miller. He's the new guy in town. Jake, maybe in his 30s, with short brown hair and a friendly smile. He's not loud or flashy. He's the kind of person who waves politely and keeps to himself. Today, Jake's standing in his front yard, setting up a shiny new solar charger. It's this cool little gadget that soaks up sunlight to make electricity. Jake thinks it's awesome because it helps save energy and keeps the planet happy. He's hammering a small pole into the ground to hold it up, whistling a tune, totally chill. To him, it's just a fun project on a nice day. But here's the thing, across the street, someone's watching, and not in a friendly way. That someone is Karen Wilson. Oh boy, Karen's a whole different story. She's the boss of the HOA, which stands for Homeowners Association. That's a group that makes rules for the neighborhood, like how tall your grass can be or what color your mailbox should be. Karen loves those rules, like loves them way too much. She's got sharp eyes that miss nothing, and she's always carrying a clipboard ready to write down anything she doesn't like. Karen's the kind of person who'd complain if your dog barked once, or if your flowers were too bright. Yup, she's that neighbor. Karen's standing on her porch now, arms crossed, staring at Jake like he's doing something awful. To her, that solar charger isn't just a gadget, it's a problem. A big, annoying problem. Why? Because it's new, it's different, and Karen doesn't like different. Her house is perfect, with white shutters and a lawn so flat it looks ironed. She thinks everyone else's house should be just as perfect as hers. And Jake's solar charger, it's sticking out like a sore thumb, at least in her mind. Jake doesn't notice Karen yet. He's too busy making sure his charger is straight. He steps back, wipes some sweat off his forehead and grins. Looking good, he says to himself. The charger's all set up now, catching the sunlight and glowing a little. Jake's proud. He's thinking about how this thing will power his phone or maybe even his TV. Cool, right? But Karen's not smiling, not even close. She's already decided Jake, breaking some kind of rule. She doesn't know what rule yet, but she'll find one. Karen's good at finding rules to throw at people. She mutters under her breath, "Who does this guy think he is?" Her face gets all scrunched up, like she just smelled something bad. To her, Jake's not just a new neighbor, he's a troublemaker. And Karen Wilson does not let troublemakers get away with anything. Let's back up a bit and talk about Jake. He moved to Sunny Hills just a couple of weeks ago. His house is small but cozy, with a blue door and a little porch. He doesn't have fancy stuff, no big car, no shiny lawnmower, just a few boxes still unpacked inside and this solar charger he's so excited about. Jake, not here to cause a fuss. He just wants a quiet life, maybe make a few friends and enjoy his new home. He's the kind of guy who'd lend you a hammer or share his snacks. But he's also got a secret, not a bad one, but something nobody in Sunny Hills knows yet. And that secret, it's going to make this story wild. Now the neighborhood's pretty normal otherwise. There's Mr. Thompson next door, who's always watering his roses and waving at everyone. There's Sarah, a mom who pushes her baby stroller every afternoon. And there's Timmy, a kid who rides his bike in circles, yelling about superheroes. Everyone gets along mostly. But Karen, she's like a dark cloud on a sunny day. People don't argue with her because it's no use. She'll talk over you, wave her rule book, and make you feel like you're the problem. Most folks just nod and do what she says to keep the peace. Jake, though, he's different. He's not scared of Karen even if he doesn't know it yet. Right now, he's just happy with his solar charger. He doesn't see the storm coming, but it's coming all right, a big one. Karen's already planning her attack. She's thinking about the HOA rulebook, flipping through pages in her head. No unapproved structures, she whispers to herself, nodding. That's it, that's the rule she'll use. Jake's charger is an unapproved structure, and she's going to make him take it down or else. As the sun starts to dip lower, casting long shadows across the street, Jake gives his charger one last look. Nice, he says, brushing dirt off his hands. He heads inside, leaving the charger to do its thing. Kids are still playing, their laughter echoing down the block. It feels like any other day in Sunny Hills, but it's not even close. Karen's still on her porch, watching Jake's house like it's her job. She's got her phone in her hand now, ready to call someone, maybe the HOA board, maybe someone worse. Her eyes narrow. This isn't over, she says quietly. She thinks she's got Jake cornered. She thinks he's just some random guy who'll back down when she starts yelling. Oh, Karen, she has no idea who she's messing with. See, Jake's not just a guy with a solar charger. He's got a story nobody in this neighborhood knows. And that story, it's about to turn Sunny Hills upside down. Ever wonder what happens when someone like Karen picks a fight with the wrong person? Someone who's calm, quiet, but ready? Stick around, because this is where it gets good. The street's peaceful for now. Dogs bark in the distance. A sprinkler clicks on somewhere. Jake's inside his house, maybe grabbing a soda, totally unaware that Karen's plotting against him. He's not thinking about fights or rules or nosy neighbors. He's just happy to be here in his new place with his cool new gadget. But Karen's thinking enough for both of them. She's thinking about power, control, and how she's going to teach this new guy a lesson. What Karen doesn't know is that Jake, not as simple as he seems. That solar charger, it's not just for saving electricity, it's part of something bigger, something Karen's too busy being angry to notice. And when she figures it out, oh, it's going to be a day she'll never forget. So what's Jake hiding? Why's he so calm when Karen's glaring at him like he's the worst person ever? And what's going to happen when she tries to throw her weight around? I'm not telling you yet, because that's the fun part. You've got to keep watching to see how this all plays out. Trust me, it's worth it. For now, the sun's setting in Sunny Hills. The sky's turning pink and orange, and the neighborhood's settling down. Jake's charger sits quietly in his yard, soaking up the last bits of light. Karen's still on her porch, planning her next move. And somewhere in the middle of this ordinary day, something extraordinary is about to happen. What do you think's going to happen next? Is Karen going to win or is Jake going to surprise her? Drop your guesses in the comments and let's see who's right. This story's just getting started and it's going to be a wild ride. Stay tuned because you don't want to miss what's coming. Karen Wilson wasn't like other neighbors. Nope, not even close. She was the kind of person who'd grab a ruler and measure your grass just to make sure it wasn't one tiny bit too tall. If your mailbox was even a smidge too big or too small, you'd find a mean note taped to it by morning. Karen loved rules more than anything. To her, rules were like gold, and breaking them was the worst thing you could do. So when she saw Jake's shiny new solar charger sitting in his front yard, it was like a big, flashing sign yelling, "Trouble," in her face. That morning, Karen was up early, like always. She stood on her porch sipping coffee, her eyes scanning the street for anything wrong. Her house was perfect, white fence, super neat lawn, not a single weed. She liked it that way and she wanted every house in Sunny Hills to be just as perfect. Then she spotted Jake's solar charger. It was small, silver, and catching the sunlight like a little mirror. To most people it was no big deal, but to Karen, it was a monster. She didn't know why it bugged her so much, maybe because it was new or because Jake hadn't asked her permission first. Whatever the reason, she was mad, really mad. Karen put her coffee cup down and marched across the street. Her arms were crossed tight and her sneakers slapped the pavement loud enough for everyone to hear. Jake was outside, wiping some dirt off his charger. He looked happy, like a kid with a new toy. But when Karen got close, his smile faded just a bit. "That thing is an eyesore," she yelled, pointing at the charger like it was a pile of garbage. Her voice was so loud that a couple of kids riding bikes stopped to stare. "Take it down right now, or I'm calling the cops." Jake didn't yell back. He didn't even look scared. He just stood there, scratching his head like he was confused. "It's just a solar charger, ma'am," he said, calm as could be. "It saves energy, helps the planet, you know." His voice was soft, like he was trying to explain something simple to a kid. But Karen wasn't listening, not one bit. Her face turned red, like a tomato about to burst. She didn't care about saving energy or helping the planet. All she cared about was her rules. "You heard me," Karen snapped. She yanked her phone out of her pocket so fast it almost fell. "I'm not joking, take it down or you'll be sorry." She was already tapping numbers, like she was really going to call the police over a little gadget. Jake just looked at her, one eyebrow raised. He didn't say anything else. He didn't argue or beg. Instead, he shrugged, like it was no big deal, and walked back into his house. But here's the thing, if you looked close, really close, you'd see a tiny spark in his eyes. Not a mad spark, but a clever one, like he knew something Karen didn't. Was Jake as clueless as he seemed, or was something sneaky going on? Inside her head, Karen was fuming. She stood there on Jake's lawn, phone still in her hand, glaring at his front door. "Who does he think he is?" she muttered. To her, Jake was just some new guy who didn't know his place. Sunny Hills was her neighborhood and she was the boss. Nobody got to ignore her, nobody. She turned and stomped back to her house, already thinking of ways to make Jake sorry. Maybe she'd write him a big official letter from the HOA. Maybe she'd get all the neighbors to gang up on him. Whatever it took, she was going to win. Back in his house, Jake wasn't sweating it. He grabbed a glass of water and sat on his couch looking out the window. From where he sat, he could see his solar charger still shiny and happy in the yard. He smiled a little, like he was thinking about a joke nobody else knew. Outside, the neighborhood was buzzing. Those kids on bikes were whispering to each other, giggling about Karen's big scene. Mr. Thompson, the old guy next door, peeked out from behind his roses, shaking his head. Even Sarah, the mom with the stroller, slowed down to glance at Jake's yard. Everyone knew Karen was mad and they were curious. What was Jake going to do? Karen wasn't done though. Oh no. She went straight to her kitchen table, where her HOA rulebook sat like a king on a throne. She flipped through the pages, her fingers moving fast. There's got to be something, she said to herself. No structures without approval, no weird decorations, no nothing. She was sure Jake's charger broke some rule, even if she had to twist the words to make it fit. Karen loved being in charge, and she wasn't about to let some new guy make her look weak. Across the street, Jake was still chill. He wasn't packing or worrying. He wasn't even mad. If you saw him, you'd think he didn't care at all. But that spark in his eye, it was still there. Maybe he was planning something. Maybe he knew Karen was going to keep pushing and he was ready for it. Or maybe he was just really good at staying cool. Whatever it was, Jake wasn't acting like someone who was scared of a fight. By now, the whole block was starting to talk. Timmy, the kid with the bike, rode past Jake's house and shouted, "Cool charger, mister." But then he saw Karen's glare from her porch and pedaled away fast. Mr. Thompson told Sarah he thought Karen was being a bit much, but he said it quietly so Karen wouldn't hear. Nobody wanted to get on her bad side. Nobody except Jake, it seemed. Karen spent the rest of the morning writing a letter. It was long and full of big words she thought sounded important, like violation and compliance. She taped it to Jake's door herself, making sure it was nice and loud when she slapped it on. That'll show him, she thought, smiling for the first time all day. She was sure Jake would read it, panic, and take the charger down by sunset. In her mind, she'd already won. But Jake, he didn't rush out to grab the letter. He didn't tear it open or call Karen to say sorry. When he finally saw it, he just picked it up, read it, and chuckled. A chuckle, like it was funny instead of scary. Then he tucked the letter in a drawer and went back to his day like nothing happened. What was he thinking? Did he know something Karen did, or was he just super brave? One thing was clear, this wasn't over. Karen was like a dog with a bone she wasn't going to let go. And Jake, he was like a cat, all calm and quiet, but maybe, just maybe, ready to pounce. The neighborhood could feel it, like a storm waiting to break. Something big was coming, and it all started with that little solar charger in Jake's yard. The next few days in Sunny Hills got wild. Karen Wilson, the HOA boss, was on a mission to make Jake Miller take down his solar charger. She wasn't just mad anymore, she was like a volcano ready to explode. Karen wasn't going to let some new guy with a shiny gadget win. No way, so she turned up the heat big time. First, she started sending Jake letters. Not just any letters, fancy ones with big HOA stamps on them. They said things like, "You broke the rules," and "Take that charger down now." She'd march over to Jake's house herself, tape them to his door, and stomp away, thinking she was super scary. Then she got even meaner. She made bright red stickers that said "violation" in huge letters and slapped them right on Jake's solar charger. Every time he went outside, there was another one, like a big angry face staring at him. Karen didn't stop there. Oh no. She started talking to the neighbors, trying to get them on her side. She'd stand on their porches, waving her arms, saying, "That charger's ruining our neighborhood." Some folks, like Mrs. Carter and Mr. Lee, didn't really care, but they nodded anyway because Karen was loud and pushy. Soon, a few of them started giving Jake grumpy looks from their yards. One guy even shook his head when Jake walked by, like Jake had done something awful. Karen was building a team, and she was sure she'd scare Jake into giving up. But Jake, he was cool as a cucumber. No matter what Karen did, he didn't get mad. When he saw a new letter on his door, he'd just pull it off, read it, and shrug. When he found another sticker on his charger, he'd peel it off carefully, clean the charger so it sparkled again, and keep going. If a neighbor glared at him, Jake would just wave, all friendly, like he didn't even notice they were mad. "Morning," he'd say, smiling big. It was like nothing could shake him, nothing at all. The neighbors started to talk. They'd whisper to each other over fences or while watering their flowers. "Who is this guy?" asked Sarah, the mom with the stroller. "I mean, Karen's going nuts and he's just chill." Mr. Thompson, the rose guy, scratched his chin. "He's either super brave or totally crazy," he said. Even Timmy, the kid on the bike, zoomed by and yelled, "You're cool, mister," before speeding off. Everyone was curious. Why was Jake fighting back? Was he scared, or was he up to something? Then something really weird happened. One morning, a big black SUV pulled up near Jake's house. It wasn't loud or flashy, but it looked important. Two men got out, both wearing dark suits and sunglasses, like they were in a spy movie. They knocked on Jake's door and he let them in. They didn't stay long, maybe 10 minutes, but when they left, they shook Jake's hand and drove away. The next day it happened again. Same SUV, same kind of guys. They'd talk to Jake quietly, nod, and leave. And nobody could hear what they were saying, but it was enough to make the whole neighborhood buzz. Karen saw it too, and it drove her bonkers. She was on her porch pretending to water her plants, but really she was spying. "What's he doing with those guys?" she muttered. Her eyes got all squinty, like she was trying to solve a puzzle. At the next HOA meeting, she stood up, waving her clipboard, and told everyone, "That Jake's up to no good. I bet he's running some sneaky business. Those men in suits, probably bad news." A few people gasped, and Mrs. Carter whispered, "Maybe he's a crook." Karen nodded, feeling like a detective. She was sure she'd caught Jake doing something wrong. But here's the thing, Karen didn't know the half of it. While she was yelling and sticking notes everywhere, Jake was watching, not in a creepy way but in a smart way. Every time Karen came to his house, banging on his door or yelling about rules, Jake would listen quietly. When she stuck another sticker on his charger, he'd nod to himself, like he was keeping score. And when she got the neighbors to glare at him, he'd just smile a tiny bit. Not a big grin, but a little one, like he knew a secret. What was he waiting for? Why wasn't he shouting back or telling Karen to stop? Sometimes, late at night, Jake would sit in his living room with a notebook. He'd write stuff down, things like what Karen said or what time those stickers showed up. If you peeked through his window, not that you should, you'd see him looking calm, maybe even humming a little tune. It was like he wasn't worried at all. But why? Most people would be freaking out if someone like Karen was after them. Most people would pack up their charger and say, "Fine, you win." Not Jake. He was different. The neighbors kept whispering. Sarah told Mr. Thompson she saw Jake fixing his charger after Karen knocked it over one night. He didn't even look mad, she said, just fixed it and went inside. Timmy told his mom he thought Jake was a superhero in disguise. Maybe he's got powers, he said, eyes wide. Even Mr. Lee, who usually stayed quiet, said that guy got guts. Everyone was starting to wonder, was Jake just super nice or was he planning something big? Karen, though, wasn't wondering. She was too busy being mad. Every time she saw that charger still standing in Jake's yard, it was like a poke in the eye. She'd grit her teeth and think, he's mocking me. She didn't notice Jake's little smiles or the way he watched her. She didn't think about those men in suits except to make up stories about them. To her, Jake was just a pest who needed to learn a lesson, and she was going to teach it no matter what. By now, the whole block was like a pot of water about to boil. Kids would ride by Jake's house, hopping to see something cool. Neighbors would peek out their windows, waiting for the next big fight. Even the dogs seemed to bark louder when Karen walked by. Something was building, something huge. And it all came back to that little solar charger sitting there like it didn't care about any of this. What was Jake waiting for? Why did those men keep coming to his house? And how long could he stay so calm with Karen acting like a bully? Nobody knew, not Karen, not the neighbors, not even Timmy with his superhero ideas. But one thing was sure, Jake wasn't backing down, and that made everyone, even Karen, a tiny bit nervous. It was a bright and sunny Saturday morning in Sunny Hills, and boy, did things get crazy. Karen Wilson, the HOA boss who loved rules more than anything, had finally had enough of Jake Miller and his solar charger. She was done with letters and stickers and grumpy stares. Today, she was going big. She was going to make sure Jake got in huge trouble, and she couldn't wait to watch it happen. Karen stood in her kitchen, her face all red and her hands shaking, not because she was scared, but because she was so mad she could barely stand it. She grabbed her phone and dialed 911. When the person on the other end answered, Karen put on her best scared voice like she was in a movie. "Help," she cried, making her voice wobble. "There's a dangerous thing in my neighbor's yard. It's a threat to the whole neighborhood. Please send someone quick." She hung up, a big smirk spreading across her face. She thought she was so smart. In her head, she could already see Jake getting dragged away by the police, his solar charger tossed in the trash. "That'll teach him," she whispered to herself. Karen ran outside to her lawn, arms crossed, standing tall like a queen. She wanted everyone to see her win. Kids were playing down the street, and a few neighbors were out watering plants or walking dogs. They all looked up when not one but two police cars zoomed into the neighborhood, their lights flashing red and blue. The cars stopped right in front of Jake's house. Karen's smirk got even bigger. She was sure this was it. Jake was done for. The neighbors started gathering, curious. Timmy parked his bike and stared with wide eyes. Sarah pushed her stroller closer, whispering to Mr. Thompson, "What's going on?" Mr. Lee peeked out from his garage, and even Mrs. Carter, who usually stayed inside, stepped onto her porch. Everyone could feel something big was about to happen. Karen stood there, nodding like she'd planned it all, waiting for the cops to march Jake out in handcuffs. The police officers, two of them, both tall and serious-looking, walked up to Jake's door. They knocked loud and firm. Karen leaned forward, practically bouncing with excitement. "Here we go," she muttered. The door opened and Jake stepped out, wearing a plain t-shirt and jeans. He didn't look worried, not one bit. Instead, something super weird happened. Jake shook hands with the cops like they were old friends. Then they all started laughing. Laughing. Karen's mouth fell open so wide you could have parked a car in it. The neighbors gasped. Timmy whispered, "Whoa." Sarah's eyebrows shot up and Mr. Thompson just stood there, confused. Karen blinked, her smirk gone, her face turning pale. What was happening? This wasn't how it was supposed to go. The cops were supposed to grab Jake, not joke around with him. She started to feel a little sick, like her stomach was doing flips. One of the officers, a guy with a deep voice, turned and walked toward Karen. He was holding a big stack of papers and his face wasn't friendly anymore. "Ma'am," he said, looking right at her, "we need to talk. We've got complaints about you. Serious ones. Fraud, harassment, even forging HOA documents. Want to explain?" He held up the papers and Karen's eyes got huge, like she'd seen a ghost. Karen stammered, trying to talk. "What, me? No, you've got it wrong. It's him." She pointed at Jake, her finger shaking. "He's the one with that thing in his yard." But the cop didn't look at Jake. He just stared at Karen, waiting for her to say something that made sense. She couldn't. Her words got all jumbled and her face went from pale to red again, like she was about to explode. Jake, meanwhile, was leaning against his porch, cool as ever. His solar charger sat behind him, shiny and happy, catching the morning sun. He looked at the crowd, then at Karen, and spoke loud enough for everyone to hear.